I suppose we have to start with just explaining how we actually got here today. It's been a very long, frustrating road for some on the other side of this fight to actually get the former president to court to answer to these charges. Many, many years, Thulas.
You're absolutely right, Yuveka. The day of reckoning has dawned here in Durban for former President Jacob Zuma. In fact, I was even thinking about how aptly to capture this moment, and I could only think about the isiZulu saying that says, "Icala aliboli," which roughly translates to, no matter how much you put off your issues, they will have a way of coming back to confront you, and there's no expiry date on some of these issues. And indeed, it seems there's been no expiry date on the issues facing former President Jacob Zuma. It's been a long and winding, protracted battle to get to this particular point. It is exactly on this day in 2009 that former prosecution's boss, Mokotedi Mpshe, announced that the prosecution of Jacob Zuma would be discontinued. And on the very next day, on the 7th of April 2009, the NPA went to withdraw those charges formally. I'm not alone. I'm joined by my colleague, Annika Larsen. Annika, let's reflect and sort of jog people's memories. It's been a long and winding road, as I say. Take us back to, I suppose, the battle between 6 April 2009 and 6 April 2018.
You know, Thulas, I think we can go even, behind that and really go back to 13 years ago, where this is the very court that Shabir Sheikh, who was the financial advisor and close friend of former President Jacob Zuma, was convicted of corruption and fraud. And just a little while later, a few days later, former President Thabo Mbeki fired then Deputy President Jacob Zuma, and he was charged with corruption. That was in 2005, and since then, the case has been withdrawn. It's been struck from the roll. The charges were reinstated by Mokotedi Mpshe. Then the spy tape saga came. Then they were, when they were hand-delivered to the spy tapes, and there was a talk of political collusion, this victim of political conspiracy narrative. The charges, as you say, were withdrawn 9 years ago. And since then, this case has been back and forth in every court in the land. And here we are now, back again, as you say, 9 years later, where at 9:30 a.m. Jacob Zuma and his co-accused, a representative from the French arms company Thulasizwe, will appear before Judge Sishi. It'll be a short postponement to a later date. There'll be no bail application because neither of the accused have been arrested, and they will be warned to appear in this court again in preparation for trial.
The word we've been using in the media is a Stalingrad strategy that we've been saying that the former president sort of applied to this particular matter. But in essence, it's translated to a labyrinth of court challenges. I mean, the spy tapes issue alone, this has to do with those representations that the former president made that led to the dropping of those charges. That went to the Supreme Court, I think, 3 times in various guises, didn't it?
That's right. And the court, in the latest case where it upheld the North Gauteng High Court decision, that the decision by Mpshe to withdraw the charges was not lawful, really speaks to the fact that the court may be used in a vexatious manner, and that to launch any more applications is simply an abuse of the legal process. Now, it's likely today that Jacob Zuma's lawyers will announce that they're going to review Sean Abrams' decision pending the Nkosana judgment, which we're waiting for a confirmation order from the Constitutional Court. So there is more to come. Will this trial ever happen? Will it happen this year? Pending this review application, I think we've still got a long legal road, but I suspect that the courts are not going to view it with much sympathy because of the Stalingrad strategy that Kemp has mentioned so many times before, acting for Zuma.
We're in for a very long ride. Annika Larsen will be inside the court here in Durban. And as she says, our expectation is that the actual actual proceedings inside court may be quite short and brief and to the point, but actually part of the story is what will be happening politically. When former President Jacob Zuma last appeared on these matters, it was in the build-up to the Polokwane conference of 2007 of the ANC, and he was riding the tide of what was then called the unstoppable Zuma tsunami. Much has changed since then. We'll also be keeping an eye on what will be happening outside court here in as far as the political support for the former president is concerned.
Well, Thulas, just to confirm, I mean, this is such an extraordinary case and it may not go the way other cases of this kind might. Are we expecting the president has to be present physically in court today? We will see him. That is the procedure in criminal matters. The accused actually has to be inside court and appear and sit in the dock. So it is the expectation that he will be there. In terms of who he'll be joined by, of course, this is a matter of state versus Zuma and two others. The two others being the company that has gone through a number of name changes that was originally called Thomson CSF and at one point was called Tint and it's officially called Thulas, the French company. They will be represented by a representative. And to just give you a sense of how long this road has been, the person that was initially cited as the person who would be sitting next to former President Zuma in the dock in this particular matter used to be a person called Jean-Pierre Moinoy. He has since gone into retirement, and now you have someone else who will be representing Thulas, inside court in the dock, a representative of the company. All right.